In the name of our Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. Amen. Well, good morning to you all. While preparing for today, the word unity jumped out for me from the collect of the day. This is something that we sorely need today in our communities, states, nation, and in the world. Sometimes it feels that all I hear on the news is divisiveness and hatred. It weighs on the soul and makes the issue seem so insurmountable, you may ask yourself, why even bother? What can I do to bring about change? Where do I even start? I feel like today's gospel lesson gives us a starting point. Jesus is teaching on the Sabbath, and into the synagogue walks a woman, hunched over from years of pain, looking for relief. Her ailments keep her from standing up straight where she can look people eye in the eye. Instead, she cannot move herself from a position of inferiority. I can't imagine what that might feel like, to be in a condition of weakness, hoping someone would take pity of her. And to be like that for 18 long years. I can't imagine what it would have been like, but I've seen it recently. See, I was at a gas station filling up my car when I noticed a woman moving from pump to pump. And I realized that she was asking each person for assistance. And in that moment of weakness, I thought to myself, please don't come to me. I was tired and I didn't want to deal with someone asking me for money at that time. But then, as she came up, I saw that she was holding the hand of a small child, dragging them along with her as she went from person to person. Unfortunately, at that moment, I made a snap judgment about her. And I asked myself, why was this child not in school? Was she using this child as a prop? How can a mother do this to her child? I'm not proud of these words that went through my head, but it was what I was thinking. And then she came to me and told me about her situation and the need of money to pay for one more night's stay in a hotel. I wasn't sure if I believed her, but I wasn't going to risk this child not having a place to stay. So I reached into my pocket and gave her the $20 I had. She thanked me and then went on her way. And as I continued to fill up my tank, I watched her, but this time looked closely at her face. And what I saw was desperation, as people either ignored her, denied her request, or just gave her some money to go away. But no matter what their response was, hers was the same. Thank you. I can't imagine what that would have been like for her or for her child, to have to go from person to person, asking for help, only to be dismissed most of the time, or treated as if she was invisible. I assume the woman in the gospel reading that we heard today felt the same way. She was introduced as a woman with a crippled spirit, a woman with a spirit that had been crippled for 18 years. And then comes her physical description of her maladies. The years of being ignored for her disabilities had harmed her mentally and crippled her spirit. She was also probably ignored and told to go away. People didn't want to deal with her afflictions, but I think that they feared that confronting what ailed the woman would mean confronting the fragility of humanity. We are all one sickness, one accident, one unfortunate decision away from being like her and all who need help and compassion. Jesus wanted the people to see that compassion for their brothers and sisters was more important than all the laws. And compassion leads to following the two main laws on which all the commandments hang. Love God above all else, and to love your neighbor as yourself. So compassion is our starting point. Compassion gives us the ability to see more than what is in front of us, than what we want to try to ignore. Compassion gives us the curiosity to see beyond what lays on the surface and dig deeper into the heart of the matter. Had I taken time to stop and show compassion for the woman and the child at the pump, I would have seen a woman doing what she needed for her child, even if it meant asking a stranger for help. I could have dug deeper to see how I could have helped beyond just giving her money. I could have made sure that they had the food and drink that they needed. This encounter is one that I will keep pondering for a while and pray that its memory will come forward in my mind the next time I feel annoyed at someone's request for assistance. This idea of compassion also came up in a book that I'm reading. See, I love reading works of fiction and being taken to places that I may not have a chance to visit or experiences I may never have. It's fun to picture the story in my mind as I turn the pages. So for Christmas, my brother-in-law gave me the gift of a Book of the Month Club subscription. I was excited and a little bit nervous to try it out. Now, the company does ask you a few questions to get to understand your reading preferences. I personally like John Grisham and Dan Brown and Patricia Cromwell and a lot of other legal thrillers. But I was nervous about what they might send me in the mail. And so far, they've done a great job of introducing me to writers I never would have experienced. Now, the most recent book that I received was a book written by Nora Roberts. Now, I'll say I was a little skeptical when I opened it because isn't she the romance author I keep seeing in the book selections at the grocery store? I thought that this would be the first time I'd actually have to ask for a replacement book. But the story was much more than I expected, and the thrill ride I enjoyed. It was about this young man named Harry Booth, who in his childhood has experienced a lot of trauma. Harry's mom and dad had him when they were young, and his dad decided he didn't want anything to do with having a child, so he left them. So Harry was raised by his mother and his eccentric aunt, who also worked as a carny. So for fun, she taught Harry the art of sleight of hand at a young age. She taught him how he could remove a bracelet or necklace or a billfold from someone without them noticing it. But little did she know that when Harry's mom became ill with cancer and could not work, Harry took this new knowledge and used it to steal in order to cover the family's bills. He started at 9 years old. So Harry's mom recovered from the cancer, but it came back 2 more times until she could no longer fight it off and died. Each time, Harry got better and better at his new side job until he started breaking into people's houses. Now, he did have rules and what he called squishy moral values. He never wanted to take more than what he had planned to take, and he never stole from someone he knew, and he would never do armed robbery or hurt somebody. He had a plan, and he stuck to it until he met a girl who made his heart stop. He was contemplating giving up what he called his night work until a job came that he couldn't refuse, or the ones he loved would get hurt. So he had to leave the girl behind and move on. But they met years later, and she was still hurt from the pain he had caused her. But she had compassion for him and listened to his story and got to know the true Harry. She heard about what he had gone through as a child, and she learned about his mother and aunt and how they had created this thriving business and saved money for the retirement, only to have it all wiped out due to her illness. And nobody was there to help them. While she didn't condone the crimes he committed, she saw that was not all who he was. He was a compassionate person who loved learning and had found a spark in teaching that he wanted to pass on to others, especially the children in the high school he taught. She saw beyond the exterior of a criminal into the heart of a person who loved their neighbor as their self, and maybe even more. And so I see that as how we can use our compassion for others, to be curious, to see deeper into a person and learn about who they are and what drives them, versus being content judging them for what we see on the surface. So let us ask ourselves at our next tough encounter, where is the compassion? And how can we use that to spread the love of God to everyone we meet? Amen.